This is a paid advertisement brought to you by BetterHelp Therapy Online. Guys, it's hard to believe summer is over, and in a few months I will be a married man. Now, lest I descend into the illusion that life will just be a walk in the park thereafter, I do think it's important to check in on myself when things get busy and to keep an eye on the old head. Regular listeners to this podcast or readers of my book will know that I'm extremely passionate when it comes to opening up about our struggles and asking for help before things get to a crisis stage. For years, I let things build up internally and would only ever talk about stuff when it got bad. Nowadays, going to therapy helps me find balance in aspects of my life that I never knew I could before. So, if you're interested in starting therapy but don't know where to start, perhaps give BetterHelp a try. It's entirely online. Just fill out a short questionnaire and they'll match you with one of their therapists. Rediscover your curiosity at betterhelp.com/Megan and get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/Megan, MEHIGAN.
GoLoud.
Welcome back to the Weekly Roast. How's it going, guys? How the hell are you? How are your hearts? And of course, the most important question you can ever ask yourself, guys, very earnestly, how are your heads? Guys, what's going on? How are you doing? It's good to be here. It's good to be sitting here. This is the favourite seat that my arse will ever occupy. The hot seat, talking to you on a weekly basis. I'm here with my beloved, my perennially thirsty baby little boy, nuzzled between my two oversized manly breasts, Kieran. Nevertheless, welcome back to the Weekly Roast. Guys, thank you so much to everybody who joins us each week on a weekly basis. I hope this lit podcast forms a lovely bit of respite and escape for yourself in your own world, and it provides you with a bit of light entertainment amidst the never-ending inner and external turmoil that we all face on a day-to-day basis. Welcome back. I am also back. J'arrive. I have returned from Paris. I was there on my first stag. And yes, I know, first stag, much like a guy called Kevin O'Connell who messaged me at 2 a.m. on Saturday night saying, "You're gone to Paris for your stag. Fuck me, you are pathetic." Thank you, Kevin. Nevertheless, it was my first stag because I had to get my groomsmen their suits, which are from Dunleary, but they both live, one lives in London, one lives in Sweden. It was all a bit all over the place. Obviously, I don't drink as well, so there was it was just a struggle to try and figure out how to figure out a stag. So we went to Paris and had a nice weekend. Now, I'm also actually having a massive stag in a couple of weeks in Dublin. So I'm sort of getting the best of both worlds, which is going to be interesting because it is basically everybody that has been in my life for the last 15 years. And there are lots of sort of cultural crossovers there, which are going to be hilarious. And, you know, I've walked down many different paths in the last sort of 20 years, more paths than the bloody Camino. So I'm looking forward to bringing everyone together. Anyway, it's good to be back. First things first, today is the roast of embarrassing stories. Okay, we all have them. I actually had one last week.
Go on.
This is so embarrassing. So I had to do an interview. You know the way I'm doing this series with Sky at the moment, okay? For Sky Mobile. And I had to do an interview on Q102. This is so embarrassing and I'm surprised nobody's found it and sent it to me. I'm glad they haven't. But I had to do a radio interview. I'm not good with radio interviews. I just find them very uncomfortable. I have panic disorder. I can't really communicate effectively on the radio. I just get all in my head and I start panicking. So I was like, okay, just have a couple of gags ready, Mark. They asked me, they're like, you know, "Hey, how's it going, Mark?" And I'm like, "Yeah, good." They're like, "So you all excited for the wedding?" You know, this radio chat, like, banter. And I was like, "Yeah, what's going on?" They were like, "How are you feeling about the wedding?" And then I just said, which I was like, this is a home run. This is a guaranteed laugh. This is just an easy, light work comedy. I just went, yeah, look, originally I was nervous enough about joining a family with the diva at the centre of it. But once you get to know Eugene, crickets. I was like, "Hello? Oh, have I lost you? You gone under the poor tunnel?" No, we're here, Mark. Hey, we're here, Mark. Oh, Don't know what that was though. They didn't like complete howler, and I'm like, and then I'm there talking to them, and I'm like, I've just humiliated myself on national radio. Q102, just Dublin radio. Mortifying. Anyway, it's the roast of embarrassing moments. To begin, before we even get to the main part of the show, a dear regular contributor has sent us in this. I'm breaking rank, I'm breaking protocol, and we're going to play it now. In a way, it is an embarrassing story, but it's too good to not include. So, Kieran, run the tape. Let's go. Let's get stuck in. This is a prelude to the main show.
Just to show you how mad I am, and then how mad my ma is, and you can see where it comes from. I thought you'd really enjoy the story. So my ma's in Lanzarote. She rang me there a few minutes ago. Said there's a lot of people around with disabilities. And she said, like, this morning I seen a man, he had no eye. I seen a man that had no legs. I seen a man that had no arm, blah, blah, blah. Whatever. Anyway, she says, then I seen this man walking towards me, and I said, oh my God, he has a hook for a hand. And she said, that's so cool. And then she looked, and he had 2 metal teapots in his hand. Oh, help me. I don't know why I thought of you when I heard this story, and I thought you didn't.
Okay, hold on a second here. Like, this is just... Surely the logical assumption when you see somebody from far away and there is any silver-like object near their wrist area, it's maybe that's a watch, maybe it's an iPhone, a cooked potato in foil even. Do you know what I mean? You don't immediately jump to, yeah, there's a lad there coming towards me with 2 hooks for hands. Do you know? It's completely insane. Also, unless you're like a paranoid member of the Pan family or one of Wendy's descendants. Do you know what I mean? I just do not... I also want to just look at that mother for a second here in terms of like, Mum, how's it going? Ah, yeah, not too bad, yeah. How's the holiday? Ah, yeah, like it's fine. How's the weather? Yeah, it's fine, yeah. And the food? Food's good. It is good. It's not the same as normal food back at home, but it is Dublin. Spanish, very salty, very, yeah. Yeah, there's lots of people with disabilities here. Sorry, Mum. What? Sorry, did you say the water sports? No, I've just said there's lots of people with disabilities. Okay. Was that not mentioned on TripAdvisor? You know what I mean? It's not the top 4. It's not one of the top things that you look for when you're going on holidays. It's a mental observation to make. Do you know what I mean? Do you know what I mean? And then just like, oh, of course, it's just a man holding 2 teapots. Some sort of tea loon. This is just all... I would love to just hear more conversations that this woman has with her mother, because it's just bananas. It's absolutely bananas. Welcome back to the Weekly Roast. Embarrassing stories. Let's go.
Hi Mark. So myself, my mum and my sister were flying from Manchester to Dublin, and my mum looked up at the boarding gate and said the gate's 46, and I took her word for it. In hindsight, never take your mother's word for anything without double checking. So we went up, boarded, we were at the top of the plane, and I was told there was something wrong with my boarding pass. We were actually boarding a flight to Marrakesh, and we're on the plane. So we had to be escorted back to the airport, and then we were refused onto the flight for Dublin, and after arguing we were allowed on. But yeah, never take your mother's word for anything. This flight, I did look around and I didn't think there was that many Irish people around us, but I didn't want to be presumptuous in any way. But then in hindsight, that should have been a red flag.
Yeah, interesting. So, I mean, let's just call a spade a spade. Of all the destinations in the world where they would probably let 3 single women in without visas or passports, I'd put the house on Marrakesh. Do you know what I mean? And I don't care. Morocco is both no man's land, but at the same time, very much man's land, you know? Like, getting catcalled whilst walking through the streets of Morocco is as much of a certainty as a Wicklow primary school teacher posting a pint of cider in sunny weather to her Instagram stories with the caption, Costa del Bray. Do you know what I mean? One of those people who wears like a pink Stetson to every single event in the Aviva, even when she was getting her second dose of the COVID vaccine. Do you know what I mean? Visiting Marrakesh and as a single female and expecting not to get hassled is about as naive as ringing your GP's receptionist and expecting to be met with a friendly disposition. Like, it's just not going to happen. Now, I don't really believe that you could get onto... I don't know if you could actually get onto an airplane with a wrong boarding pass. I feel like that's what happens in movies. Because surely someone just go like, doesn't beep actually, love. You're supposed to be going to Manchester, not Marrakesh.
Yeah.
Okay, on we go.
Hi, Mark. So my embarrassing moment was years ago. I used to work in a gala petrol station, and one evening, an old man came in, and I hadn't seen him in years. Like the last time I would have seen him, I was a child. And so I was absolutely kind of like, I was buzzing to see him. So I was like, oh my God, lovely to see you. It's been so long. And he was like, Niveen, oh my goodness. Then we're just like, exchanging pleasantries and everything. Oh my God, great to see you. What are you at these days? Da, da, da. Anyways, then he kind of like put his two hands down the counter and he goes, Niveen, will you give me a... So I leaned in and I gave him a kiss. And he pulls back and he goes, a quick pick.
This is... Hold on, what did he pull back? No. But like this is just absolutely outrageous. Don't kiss people. I mean, first things first, don't you love, Kieran, those like rural shops? There used to be one where we'd go in Ardfield in West Cork. You know the ones, they're like a little shop attached to the pub. But they do everything. Like they've got like plastic tubs of jelly tots that have been there since the First World War. You know what I mean? Just jellies that are like stuck together. Like, and the old fella comes in.
Hi, Ellen. I'd like a gallon of milk, please, 2 newspapers, a packet of jelly tots, and 4 tickets to the Beyonce concert, please. Sorry? Hi, Ellen. I'd like a bag of onions, 2 IV drips, and a couple of condoms, please. Ribbed, please, Ellen. For my sins.
Do you know what I mean?
Not too bad now, Ellen. How are you? I'd like a leg of lamb, please. Pair of, just over the back there. The ones beside the step ladders. Leg of lamb, pair of Levi jeans, 33, and 4 deck chairs, please. And do you have any of that super glue?
Like, they're just mental, those little shops.
I feel like a lot of embarrassing things have happened to me in my life. Well, I'll give you my probably top 2. First one, I was sitting in a cafe and there were seats all along the wall, and then the seats kind of stopped and there was a gap and then a vending machine. And then this couple was wanting to sit down where I was. So I was trying to scooch to let them sit down. So I was scooching all the way down along the wall kind of. And then there was a gap in the chair and I fell in between the gap of the chair and the vending machine and got stuck. And people were trying to get me back up, but my bag that I had around my shoulder had also kind of fallen in on top of me, so I got stuck between the gap of the chair and the vending machine, and people ended up having to come in and try and move the vending machine and stuff.
Yeah, brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. I love it. That's a really good embarrassing story. This girl has given us a part 2.
And then the second one was probably worse. I was only 21 and I was in this big meeting, and it was like a business thing that had kind of built up for quite some time, and I was finally signing this agreement, and for some reason and then in the meeting I got really, really nervous and completely lost my train of thought, and I started to pretend that I just said the phrase, my English isn't so good. Even though everyone there was Irish and knew that English was my first language.
My English is not so good. Kira, what the fuck are you doing? Like, that is Dorojemo levels of logic. I absolutely adore it. That's my favourite. That is just my favourite. My English is not so good. This is a paid advertisement brought to you by BetterHelp Therapy Online. Guys, it's hard to believe summer is over, and in a few months I will be a married man. Now, lest I descend into the illusion that life will just be a walk in the park thereafter, I do think it's important to check in on myself when things get busy and to keep an eye on the old head. Regular listeners to this podcast or readers of my book will know that I'm extremely passionate when it comes to opening up about our struggles and asking for help before things get to a crisis stage. For years, I let things build up internally and would only ever talk about stuff when it got bad. Nowadays, going to therapy helps me find balance in aspects of my life that I never knew I could before. So, if you're interested in starting therapy but don't know where to start, perhaps give BetterHelp a try. It's entirely online. Just fill out a short questionnaire and they'll match you with one of their therapists. Rediscover your curiosity at betterhelp.com/Megan and get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/Megan, MEHIGAN. Welcome back to the Weekly Roast. Guys, do me a favour. If you're out and about doing your shopping, your food shopping, keep an eye out for these. Apparently there's like billboards of the Weekly Roast going up around the entire country, which is absolutely class. Don't deface them. Don't do a penis entering my mouth, as was customary during school. Don't do anything like that, please. Just admire. Send me if you see a picture of the Weekly Roast in your local supermarket, they're like these visual displays. Send me a picture. I'd love to see it. Okay, guys, thank you so much for tuning in. We're on now to the famous, illustrious Willy Bum Bum section. It's the most mature podcast in Ireland, and this is the most mature part of said podcast. Guys, this isn't actually that bad, so fret not. We've had some filthy stuff in recent weeks, but this is, most of it savoury enough. So brace yourselves, strap yourselves in, and let's go.
A couple of years ago, was in my utility, strappy top on, mirror in the utility, pull down said strappy top, boobs out, sun cream on. So all delight, no sun cream on the bra, no sun cream on the top, rubbing away. Next thing, mind is a glass door in the utility. Fella looking for my husband outside the door, knocking on the door. I nearly fucking died. I ran into the kitchen. He'd fucking seen everything. It's like, how the fuck am I going to go out? I'm out the door, and he goes, I'm just looking for your husband. He's not fucking here.
A couple of questions. I feel like there was like an excessive amount of touching of the breasts going on there. She really gets into it, like lathering her breasts like she's fucking shaping the wheel in an amateur pottery class. Like, go easy, Grayson Perry. Do you know what I mean? A quick squirt of fast factor 50 and be on your way. You're mauling yourself there in the utility room, like with the Sultan fucking 40, like, or factor 50, whatever. Depends on the shade of your skin. Different factors. It's an unusual place to go to maul your own tits. Like, I'm just off to the utility room, lads. Oh, you doing the old milk maulers again? Yeah, I am, yeah. Look, it reminds me of, oh God, I remember when I was on a family holiday. This is just, even thinking about it, my cheeks are going red. This is the most embarrassing thing. I was like 13 years of age, okay? And let's just say it was the summer. I'm about to tell you what it is. Let's just say it was the summer I discovered masturbation. Oh, God. So, and as any male will remember, you know, that's a pretty rigorous time of your life. You know, it is. It's the new sport, really. Sport, hobby, life, church, you know, it's everything. On the sort of hierarchy of needs, once a man discovers masturbation, it is like digging in your back garden and discovering a new colour. It's, you know, something that's quite undescribable before then. So all of a sudden, once I discovered how to do that and like what happened, firstly, I was like, I genuinely, this is, if you want to know what, like the inner workings of my brain and maybe maybe understanding how I have an anxiety disorder. The first time I did it, I was like, oh God, does this mean I'm attracted to myself? I was like, why is this happening? Because when I'm doing something to I had no idea. And we didn't have sex ed or anything growing up. And this is fucking in the 90s. So anyway, you discover how to do it. And then all of a sudden your days, just everything works around, everything falls away. Like when you fall in love, right? And you know, that person becomes the centre of your universe and everything else in life seems to just slot around them. This was sort of like that, except for with my penis and balls. So we were on a French holiday in Ile de Ré, actually. And, you know, it was hard because I was around my entire family. So I was like, Mark, we're all going to go out for lunch at 1. I was like, okay, Grant, I'm going to follow you guys down. They're like, no, just come now. I was like, well, that's the idea. But go on. Go on without me. Go on. Anyway, they fucking go on. And I just get stuck in, you know, standing up in the bathroom. And there was a window in the bathroom that looks out to the front garden. I just didn't think. Oh, no. And my brother forgot his phone. There's no more humiliating moment than going at yourself. Like with the fury, the fervour and the fury of a 14-year-old who's just discovered this new sport. Like, this was my Olympic audition, by the way. The speed of this was akin to fucking Lady Macbeth washing her hands with hand sanitizer. It's a little philosophy. Anyway, literature gag. Yeah, my brother I make eye contact with him. And I was just like, I pretended like I hurt myself. I was like, I hurt myself on the beach. He was like, okay. We're never going to talk about this again. And we still haven't. Oh, God, I'm rouge. Humiliating. This is the second part now to this story, which, of course, descends. Let's go.
Here's another one for you. When my son was younger, obviously he was younger, and I had been toilet draining him and I brought him out. I was going into the shop to get something. And I brought him to the toilet. He asked me to bring him to the toilet and he'd done a wee and he was in the shop. I need to go to the toilet because you just fucking went. Yeah, but I need to. You just went. Now stop. So I was walking around and I turned around and there he was after pulling his pants down and doing a shit on the floor. And that was bad. And I was thinking, surely no one saw me. So what am I going to do? Because all I have is a handbag. So I took off his underpants, pulled up his pants. I picked up the shit with his underpants. And I put it into my handbag.
That is fucking depraved. That is, as you would say, my little boy, the Rosemont. That is absolutely horrendous. I can actually, no, like one of those claws. You know those claws you put €2 in and just feel. Good luck. Good luck. I mean, happy 21st to your son, by the way. I hope he has a great weekend. And yeah, no. On we go, my friends.
My most embarrassing moment was one day I was cleaning my skirting boards, bent down cleaning the skirting boards, and a knock came to the door, and it was the postman. So I rushed to get the parcel off him, and when I opened the door, he just stood there staring at me and stuttered a few words out and like literally ran out of the garden. And I was a bit puzzled. I was like, why was he acting all weird? And I caught my reflection on the door and realised that my boob was actually hanging out over my vest, my loose vest I had on. So it was very embarrassing.
Forget Pat Custard, or I mean, fuck. Fuck, I've ruined it. Forget Pat Mustard, more like Pat Flustered. Am I right? Let's talk about this. This is absurd, by the way. Standing there chatting to your man with this sort of lone, isolated milker. Do you know what I mean? Hanging down like a skin-coloured chandelier, like out over your top, swinging in the wind. Would you not feel the sensation of oxygen across the nipple, like sure, or of air? Like surely you'd feel the breeze and go, "That's mental. My bonbons are hanging out." Do you know what I mean? Do you still call them bonbons, Kieran?
Oh yeah.
What do you actually call boobs?
Tits.
I'd be a boobs. I'd say I'd boobs. Here, show us your yeah, I'd be boobs. That's the context. Here, roll down the window quick. I think I'm a boobs guy. I was actually discussing this over the weekend, and I then looked up some popular names for boobs. Do you want to hear them?
Oh, go on.
Some of these are completely absurd. Okay, baps, bazookas, beach umbrellas. I've never heard that. Bee stings. Bee stings. I've read in books. I think in literature, like when they just, various. Yeah. Ben and Jerry. No. Boobs. BEWBS. Bips. Blips and blaps, no. Bops, bolt-ons, these are all bees really, aren't they? Bongos, you can't call them bongos. Breast friends, brilliant. Breasticles, bumps. There's a couple of chesticles, no. Church bells, cleavage, coconuts. Danny DeVito's, apparently. No, don't even get that. DD, maybe. Dolce and Gabbana, East Westies, Jiggly and Wiggly. You can't call them Jiggly and Wiggly and still be expected to be taken seriously in the bedroom. Show us your Jiggly and Wigglies. Or in this instance, it was just Wiggly. Or maybe it was Jiggly. I don't know. Nevertheless, yes, that's embarrassing. In my opinion, the postman missed a trick because that whole setup is just exactly like a porn movie. I was cleaning the skirting boards. The doorbell rings and I rush to the door. You know, milkers out. You can't call them milkers. Let's go.
Hi, Mark. So basically, I was working in the States a long, long time ago. And I went to the pub with one of my colleagues, and she was in my team. And we were having a few drinks, and then we needed to use the bathroom, so she came with me. And sure as girls do, we got into the same toilet. The toilet was packed. and I was sitting down doing my wee-wee, and then I felt the need to do a little poo-poo. Anyways, I did the poo, and then she looked around at me, and she said to me, "Did you just do a shit?" Dead stare in the eyes, and I had to tell her the truth. And I did the shit while she was standing there. Anyways, that will haunt me for the rest of my life. Every time I think about it, I nearly blush. But anyways, listen, I love your podcast. And probably my favourite one was last week's one.
Hold on. This will haunt you for the rest of your days. It's going to haunt your fucking mate. Like, unless she's applying for a job as the assistant to Bobby Sands, what the hell is going on here? Bobby gets a lot of heat in this podcast. I'm actually flabbergasted. That's disgusting. And I love the way it's just like, I sat down for a little pee-pee, and then I thought, oh, I need to do a poo-poo. Like, don't babify the perversion. Do you know what I mean? You can't just babify your way out of... You can't cutesy your way out of this. The defecation. This is derangement levels of behaviour. Like, no, actually, do you know what? Just to know, all of this is disgusting, horrendous. But the way you're saying it's like, yeah, well, like, you're saying in a way like that this thing happened that you had nothing to do with, like you have no control over your bowels or your sphincter. Is it a sphincter? No, this. Nevertheless, you're overdoing the voice. It's like, I was thinking about this the weekend. Do you know whenever you're at funerals and old fellas come into funerals and they clearly, by the way, they're absolutely clearly only there for the jolly up after. Oh, yeah. You know it. They coming in, right? And they're like, but they do this. They start speaking only on the in-breath. Oh yeah, how's it? Oh yeah, how are you? How are you? Very sad, very sad. Would you say the car will be okay out there for a while? Yeah. Is there a free bar? Sorry? No, it's very sad now. Would you say there's a free bar out there? It's desperate. No, it's a shocking thing there. Yeah, what his wife's in bits. Yeah. Fine looking thing though. Sorry? Fine looking thing. Yeah, no, she is now. Would you say there's a free bar? Jesus, yeah. People at funeral, we need to do a fucking roast of people. Oh, he looks very natural, doesn't he? He looks very himself. They've done a great job now. Very natural. Was he usually yellow and candle-like? Do you know what I mean? If they stuck a Max Benjamin tag on his toe, people try and purchase him as a last-minute Christmas gift. There's nothing natural about this. Oh, yeah, no, that's shocking. Have you left your car? Are you having pints? I'm going to have 6 or 7 pints, I'd say, here today. I've got the go-ahead from the wife now. No, they've done a great job on him. He looks himself, doesn't he? He looks very himself. They've done an excellent job. As if they're the county council who've just converted a homeless shelter into a skate park. Do you know what I mean? It's not a restored piece of furniture or a freshly washed back patio with the power hose. They've done a great job. It's completely inappropriate. It's a dead bloody body of your buddy Bobby, Robbie. Jesus. Imagine that, by the way. Imagine you live your life to the best of your ability, okay? You build a future for your family and grandkids. You work relentlessly until retirement. And then finally, you enjoy your latter years. You take up a new hobby. You learn how to paint. You embrace the serenity of nature. You go paragliding. You reconnect with old friends until eventually slipping away into the night, surrounded by the ones that you love the most. Only for some gobshite from the golf club with coffee breath to glance into your coffin and say, geez, they've done a great job. All the time foostering the keys to the car in his pocket and wondering, will he get away with leaving it in the church car park over the night if he ends up having 9 pints? It's just, they couldn't give you a ticket for that. That'll be awful. No, it'll be disgraceful. You couldn't be doing that to the dead, like. Spoofers. Next up, we've got the final story of the Willy Willy Bum Bum section, and it is, it's outrageous. Let's go.
Hi, Mark. Okay, so I was about 15 on a school adventure holiday to Dorset, and we were going water skiing. All kitted out in our wetsuits, raring to go, and I did well. Got to almost standing, our sticking out waves absolutely ripping into my backside when I started to get a bit worried, like, oh, flip. Jesus, I'm about to crap myself. So, anyway, pictures of the final scene. My skiing turns over. I'm told to take off the wetsuit and give it a rinse shoreside, where a number of my group are waiting for their moment. Let's just say the pressure from those waves had given me a clear out. Shit everywhere. All over me, all over the wetsuit. I had to sit down and hide myself in the sea, desperately scrubbing that wetsuit. I will literally never forget it. I haven't been water skiing since.
Oh my God. If this was me, by the way, I'd be just, that's me done. I'm swimming out to sea like fucking Lieutenant Dang. Do you know what I mean? If that was me, I'm gone. Someone singing my funeral, you know, the first few strokes will be awkward because you're in 3 feet of water. Then I'm gone. I'm doing the full Lieutenant Dang, out to the ocean, gone. People that believe in ghosts, ghouls, goblins and gargoyles, this is how these rumours start. You know, whenever you go somewhere and you hear locals talking about, oh, there's a haunted creek or there's a haunted cave or there's a haunted cove. There isn't, but this is exactly how these rumours start. Imagine being a dehydrated sailor off the coast of Dorset, staring into the distance, and all of a sudden you see this frantic nude woman in between the rocky shores, covered in shite, washing a soiled wetsuit, but doing it maniacally, once again, at a similar speed to Lady Macbeth applying hand sanitizer. This is how the rumours start. Oh, look, it's the Muckress Mermaid, loitering beneath the Dorset rocks, distracting ships and smearing shit. As a teenager, this is the king. On the totem pole of shame, this is up there. Defecating in your wetsuit after receiving an unsolicited colonic irrigation from the sea because the water somehow engineered itself into a sawn-off ocean shotgun which unloaded a round of salt water bullets up your ass. This is not ideal at all. Forget Aphrodite. Meet Aphrodite. This is a paid advertisement brought to you by BetterHelp Therapy Online. Guys, it's hard to believe summer is over, and in a few months I will be a married man. Now, lest I descend into the illusion that life will just be a walk in the park thereafter, I do think it's important to check in on myself when things get busy and to keep an eye on the old head. Regular listeners to this podcast or readers of my book will know that I'm extremely passionate when it comes to opening up about our struggles and asking for help before things get to a crisis stage. For years, I let things build up internally and would only ever talk about stuff when it got bad. Nowadays, going to therapy helps me find balance in aspects of my life that I never knew I could before. So, if you're interested in starting therapy but don't know where to start, perhaps give BetterHelp a try. It's entirely online. Just fill out a short questionnaire and they'll match you with one of their therapists. Rediscover your curiosity at betterhelp.com/Megan and get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/Megan, MEHIGAN. Guys, it's the final section of this week's episode of the Weekly Roast. Thank you so much from the bottom of my heart for listening, and thank you so much just for all of your support on Instagram too, at Megan Mark. It's great to be with you, as I say, consistently. If anything, I'm overdoing the repetition of it, but it is my favourite time of the week. Now, this next one is not for the faint-hearted. It's not Willy Willy Bum Bum, but it's definitely body part related. On we go.
My most embarrassing moment probably has to be when I was trying to be at my most professional in work. In 15 years of doing nails and all the rest that comes with it, I had a pedicure and I had soaked the lady's nails and I was cutting her nails and basically her toenail landed in my mouth.
No.
And I had to go to spit it out of my mouth. It was quite disgusting and very embarrassing at the same time. So yeah, the memory will never leave me.
Good Lord. If this was a short story written by Jonathan Swift, he'd probably call this one The Nail in the Coffin. Yeah, it's like that. Now, look, let's get into it. A mouthful of pensioner's foot. Good luck. I'd prefer to get slapped with a sock full of marbles or watch my parents flirt. I mean, that is hideous. Isn't that grotesque, the idea of your parents flirting? I mean, mine are divorced, so if anything, please do. Please do. Chewing... Maybe at the wedding. No. Chewing the nail off a stranger's toe is genuinely also not any stranger, but a stranger who deemed their feet situation to be so bad that they had to go and visit a professional. Do you know what I mean? This isn't like everyday foot. This is like a foot that requires medical intervention. You know what I mean? And you've gone there and then you've ended up... That is, for me, is honestly one of the worst things I've ever heard in this podcast, because let's be honest, guys, there are two types of people in this world. There are those who find feet mostly repulsive, built entirely for purpose and not objects of desire. And then there's perverts, you know? They're the only two toe-smelling, heel-licking, soul-wanking deviants who enjoy the caress of a stranger's hoof or the picture of celebrities' dogs. Do you know what I mean? Like those absolute footloons. If there was ever a lesson in keeping your mouth shut, that's it. That's it. That's better than anything. Your mouth will get you into trouble, Mark. No, Mark, your mouth, you'll end up chewing the paper-like skin off a pensioner's ankle if you keep your mouth open. Do you know what I mean? That's the worst. Did I ever tell you about my experience in the first time I ever got a pedicure? No. This is so bad. This is actually humiliating and just outrageous. This is back when I was 23 or something. I was in London and my ex at the time, she was like, right, we're going on holidays like next week. And I was like, grand. She goes, you all good to go? And I was like, yeah. She's like, are you all good body-wise? And I was like, well, yeah, like, I mean, I don't really have to do anything. And then she was like, well, I think your toenails could be a bit long. And I was like, they should be fine. And she was like, Mark, I heard them scratching the floor when you got into the shower the other day. And I was like, okay, fuck. So anyway, I booked myself into this place for a pedicure down the road in South Kensington. And it's like a Korean place, really well known. And like, they would be like, if anybody can sort it out, they could sort it out. So I was like, oh, is this not embarrassing? Like, should I not do that thing where like, should I not chop them a little bit first before I get out? And she was like, no, they will sort it. Do you know what I mean? Like, you know the way these things where it's like, oh, we're going to get a cleaner for the house. Cool, you have to clean your house now. The cleaner's coming over. How does that make sense? Oh, we're just going down to the mechanics. Quick, better fucking lift up the hood and have a quick. Anyway, I go down to the pedicure place, and the woman comes out, and she's got a mask on. Pre-COVID, but she's got the mask on because she's a nail technician, and she's limited English, but you don't really need to speak to them. You know, you just go in, they know what they're doing, like they're the pros. You just go in, shut up and fucking get your treatment done. And she goes, take your sock off. So, okay, she asked me to take my socks off. So I just go, okay. And I sort of just peel my socks down. She goes, all of a sudden she turns to the person beside and goes, hold on. Oh God, no. And starts panicking. I'm like, what the fuck is going on? She goes, no. And starts like calling like all of a sudden there's like 5 women standing around my feet. And she just looks up at me and she's basically got like tears in her eye. And she goes, so bad. How you let it get so bad? And I was like, I suppose I'll just have it on pints. She's like, you might have to go hospital. I was like, this is the worst day of my life. Oh my God. All these like, you know, suburban Chelsea MILFs sitting beside me in the chairs looking at me like this disgusting Irish heathen, you know. Oh my God. It was genuinely mortifying. On we go.
Okay, I'm gonna try it now without laughing, okay, to tell you. Sitting in the doctor's surgery, and the girl got up off of the chair and she walked towards the door, you know, to go out of the waiting room. And when she did, she got up and there was a big slit in the arse of the fence. I looked at the other woman that was sitting in the room. I was like, oh my God, I was mortified for her. It was so funny to see.
Yeah, like, maybe she was in to get one of her hemorrhoids removed. Do you ever think about that? Do you ever think about exercising a little bit of fucking empathy in your day-to-day life? Rather than sneering, rather than skitting, rather than laughing, rather than abusing. Innocent people walking along with their arses out. I jest, of course. That's hilarious. I love it. It's one of those things that you'd never live down the shame. You'd never, ever live down. And people shouldn't let you live it down either. There was one guy... 2 things, okay? Firstly, I remember a cousin of mine, actually, when we were about, like, siblings and cousins, family's the worst when it comes to, like, people forgetting embarrassing moments. I remember when we were kids, we used to go to my granny's house, you know, if our parents were away. And my granny had this, like, ceramic hen in the kitchen where she'd keep eggs, but it was for us, when we came over, it was a magic hen. So if we did the kitchen rolly dance where she just, I don't know what, like we all just got kitchen roll and like danced around the room with her eyes closed, the magic hen would lift up and the eggs would be gone and there'd be sweets in it. So really sweet. We were all there one time as kids dancing around and my cousin, who was 4 or 5 years of age at the time, she shat herself. Okay? But like, do you think we've let her ever forget that? She's now 36. And she very much has like a husband and kids and like her own family. And even my brain, like I'll see her walking down the driveway and I'll be like looking out the window like, You dirty bastards. How many times have you shat yourself this week, Sinead? She'd be like, Mark, I literally lecture on geopolitics, do you know what I mean, in Switzerland. Like, you're a spoofer. All right, shit jocks. Do you know what I mean? Always swampy. Like, it's just family. You can never let people get away with stuff. And then also, there was this guy, you know, if somebody does something really like embarrassing or stupid, you just sometimes you just write them off for life. I remember, this is more stupid, I suppose, rather than embarrassing. But I remember there was a guy in my year, right? And we were in my dad's car. He picked us up from like some sort of sport training that we had to do in school. And in the car on the way home, he was like, Paul, do you want to come back to our house for lunch or to hang out with Mark for a few hours? And he was like, yeah, that'd be great. And then he's like, cool, do you want to like ring your dad or your mum to let him know? So anyway, my dad gives him his phone, and me and my dad are just sitting there listening to the one side of the conversation. And the phone rings and he goes, hi Nana, is mum there? It's Paul. And then you hear us talking, and then he goes, Paul O'Reilly? And then there's another pause, and he goes, oh, sorry, I think I have the wrong number. Bye. And he hangs up. And my dad was like, everything okay there, Paul? And he was like, yeah, I think I got the wrong number. We're like, oh, does your nana live with you at home? No. So he just rang this random number. Some old woman answers, and he just assumes then that it's A, his nana, B, that she's in his house, randomly answering the phone, and C, that she doesn't even know her own grandson. Hiya, Nana, it's me. Who? Paul, your grandson. Who? Paul O'Reilly, your no, still not ringing any bells. Do I have the right number? Of course you don't, Paul. Lovely guy, excellent paraglider. Damn, butchered it. Let's go.
So I was at a wedding, right? And during the dinner, they served duck for the main course. And I must have been a bit nervous because I was talking to people I didn't really know. And I took a huge chunk of duck and put it into my mouth while I was chatting. And the next thing, I felt myself starting to choke. And I could feel the pressure building up in my head. I was like, oh my God, I can't breathe. So I looked across to this girl I was talking to and I was like, I'm choking. And she was trying to get my husband's attention, who was chatting to her boyfriend. And then the two of them were like, oh fuck, she's choking. So then they were like debating about how to help me. And during all of this, I was like, lads, why are you having this conversation? Like, I'm literally choking. Like, I could feel the pressure building up in my head. I thought I was going to die. So I knew that one of the guys on the table was a doctor because I chatted to him before. And I literally reached across the table and I was like, I'm choking. And then the doctor like ran up off of his seat. But in the middle of this, I thought it would be a great idea now to get down on all fours and clear space, because I was like, I need to give him the space to like whack this piece of duck out of me. So I got down on all fours because I was literally like, I'm going to die. And this guy runs over and he starts whacking me on the back. The duck flies across the room.
Let's go.
And falls out. And everyone was like, oh my God, are you okay? Like half the wedding saw it. The other half of the wedding didn't. My throat was so bruised. Like I couldn't eat for the rest of the fucking dinner. I couldn't have dessert or anything. And I was just so embarrassed. But then weeks later I found out, right? So the bride, she's Venezuelan and she was marrying my husband's cousin. He's British, and most of her family don't actually speak English. Like a lot of them speak Spanish. And her brother, halfway through the dinner, just looked over and he saw the doctor guy who saved my life just whacking me on the back. And he didn't know I was choking, the bride's brother. He thought I was being assaulted. So he started to walk over with the intention of like beating the crap out of this guy who was trying to save my life. And everyone had to like quickly explain to him in Spanish that I was choking. But could you imagine if your man landed over and started a fight with the guy who was trying to fucking just lodge the duck for my throat? Oh my God, I've never been so embarrassed in my whole life. So yeah, that was a very, very embarrassing moment. And like, I barely knew anyone at the wedding, and all anyone said to me for the rest of the evening was like, are you okay? And I was like, yeah, I'm fine. Let's just stop talking about this now. But yeah, very, very embarrassing.
That was like a documentary. A couple of things. First things first. Got down on all fours. I think we might need to look into the conduct history of your GP there, Aoife. Do you know what I mean? Hey, doc, I think I've got a dose of the shingles. Well, you know what to do. What? All fours, please. Sorry? Doc, I think I've got some bronchitis. On you go. Down you go. Do you know what I mean? All fours. Are you giving birth? Like, look at me. Knowledge. No knowledge. Anyway, go on, the Venezuelans. You simply love the Venezuelans. I love the way he just sees that, oh yeah, there's somebody just abused a woman. I better go over and kick the shit out of him. Damn fucking right, by the way. Damn right. I've always said damn right. That story is absolutely quackers. Who paid the bill at the end? No? This is the part of the show and Carol's like, get out of the studio, my man. I'm keeping him captive. Yeah, that's a fantastic story. Choking on something, though, that is truly terrifying. I don't think that's actually embarrassing, but it is utterly terrifying. That moment when something goes and you just think, that's the end of me. This is the end. This is how I go. And by the way, this is how I go. Is it a bird? Is it a plane? Is it a 33-year-old man-child with a doughy physique launching himself down a public set of stairs? In a world of uncertainty, with misinformation abound, from the paranormal to the paragliding, there are many cultural moments that forever remain enigmatic and unsolved for as long as we live. Until now. Malaysian Airlines Flight 370. I think we have a fair idea. I don't think Jessica Fletcher will be coming back from the dead to solve that one. The Bermuda Triangle. It's just a bit of sea, isn't it? Also, I feel as a 12-year-old, I probably thought I was going to be sailing in it once a week as an adult. Do you know what I mean? The RTE news guy on the ice. Brilliant. We're literally still talking about that. Did Mark Megan attempt to single-handedly paraglide across the rooftops of Paris, even though he once got anxiety for jumping too high on a trampoline? I was literally contacted by a journalist on Monday to ask me if I had a background in paragliding. I think the most important question here is, who was filming, okay? What was the plan once I got to the bottom of the stairs? Why am I walking on my tippy toes? Why do I... Who are the two guys? Who are the two, what can only be described as gurriers, holding up the parachute? Do you know what I mean? This whole thing is completely insane. Why am I launching myself into the unknown like some sort of Ryanair version of Lieutenant Dang? Who arranged this as well as part of the stag? Like, hey guys, listen, instead of cycling around in one of those dickhead vehicles where 12 of you all pedal really fast and get nowhere quickly, we're going to throw ourselves off the Sacre-Cœur. Hey lads, listen, the Claypid gin guy just cancelled, so in lieu of going horseback riding or finger painting, would you be up for hurtling ourselves off a cliff? Okay, Marc, vous êtes prêts? On y va, hop là. Genuinely though, do you honestly think that could have been me? 'Cause you'd be right. This is a paid advertisement brought to you by BetterHelp Therapy Online. Guys, it's hard to believe summer is over, and in a few months, I will be a married man. Now, lest I descend into the illusion that life will just be a walk in the park thereafter, I do think it's important to check in on myself when things get busy and to keep an eye on the old head. Regular listeners to this podcast or readers of my book will know that I'm extremely passionate when it comes to opening up about our struggles and asking for help before things get to a crisis stage. For years, I let things build up internally and would only ever talk about stuff when it got bad. Nowadays, going to therapy helps me find balance in aspects of my life that I never knew I could before. So, if you're interested in starting therapy but don't know where to start, perhaps give BetterHelp a try. It's entirely online. Just fill out a short questionnaire and they'll match you with one of their therapists. Rediscover your curiosity at betterhelp.com/Megan and get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/Megan, MEHIGAN.